Are you tired of going to Liberty events only to meet higher fees and diminishing attendance? Is it troubling that your banners have to be approved by the Libertarian Central Planners? Are you tired of seeing your friends physically removed because they said something edgy? Hey, that's none of my business. Then you should check out the Jackalope Freedom Festival non-event at Baca Meadows in the cooler part of northern Arizona. Meet Liberty activists, listen to talks, have a beer with Hoppy, score some free Freedom Fiends merchandise, camp under the stars, and fight the state with delicious Navajo tacos. And the best part is that there's no fees or libertarian general scrutinizers. Check out JackalopefreedomFestival.com for more information and directions. Runs from August 1st through 8th. That's JackalopefreedomFestival.com.
What, was that racist?
No.
I
think there's more than one show that's like that.
I don't see color, Chandler, so,
okay.
yeah,
well, whatever.
kind of racist.
Dave's triggered.
It is slavery, it's just a different name. A lot of people don't realize what it is, and when we bring these ideas to light and make people realize, that this government force is the problem.
And to me, it's like I say, imagine you're an abolitionist in the 19th century, and these slave masters are giving you the same exact argument. Who's going to pick the cotton?
Hey, Seeds of Liberty. Read the show's description, please. Fervently complete the course, report him to the infantry. Finish him, deconstruct the fallacy. Seasonal production means it seems to spawn a tragedy. Peep the action, please. A fraction of the allegory. Corollary cadences complaining on a sadder story. Menial, recently reading into the thesis here. Mirroring the people who completely fail to see it though. Seeing is believing, yes, the reason is appealing most. Reading enemies is just enables you to see it too. Menial, recently reading into the thesis here. Mirroring the people.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seeds of Liberty podcast. This is episode 69. As always, the Seeds of Liberty podcast is covered by the BIPCOT no government license.
Are we going to score?
This allows reuse by anyone except for governments and the agents thereof. You can find out more information about this at bipcot.org. So, we are here this week again without Danilo. He can't figure things out. I love the guy dearly, but, I had to call him out on the Fiends the other night because of his commentary about not really caring so much about having good audio quality. And now we are sending him off to get more equipment, so hopefully he'll return next week. We'll see. He's in the doghouse with me right now. He's just doing everything wrong. So in his stead, I just decided to start raiding the Fiend stable. And we have with us Lisa DeLascio and Chandler St. Pierre. How you guys doing?
Yo.
Good.
All right. So we, I think that, and of course Dave. Dave's still here. Hi, Dave.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi.
All right, so
I'm still over here.
Okay.
Still saying crazy things.
Yes, I know you are, Dave. So anyway, since I have these two on this week, we were going to talk a couple of different topics. The other night on the Freedom Fiends, Chandler and I were starting to discuss the rise of nationalism, and then we got sidetracked multiple times, which I think is it's obviously a very prevalent topic right now because there seems to be a lot of, not just here in the good old USSA, but around the world, there's these crazy nationalist things going on, and everybody is, I don't know, getting a little too slave-like for my taste. That's just me. And also, I think we might get into possibly better ways to interact with people, especially on social media, and not be such an asshat, I guess, because a lot of people. I think there's also that article. I was trying to read that article you posted earlier, Lisa, about virtue signaling. I never actually got through it. I don't really understand that yet. I mean, it needs some clarification. Whoever actually understands what that means, because there's a term I just started hearing, but I think it has something to do with a lot of this stuff. So I guess maybe we'll get started with, well, now I want to get started with that. Now I talked about this. Who the heck knows what can somebody explain to me what a definition or some working knowledge of virtue signaling?
Well, yeah,
what?
the lady at the front of the church who's being the best Christian ever?
No,
screaming and hollering and no? Okay, well, it's essentially that. Just letting everyone know that you're about this.
What was the term
here's
again,
why.
Jeremy?
Virtue signaling. It's
Oh yeah, I think I'd agree with Dave on that.
Oh, okay. I guess
Without really knowing what it means, that sounds like a good explanation.
Well, Lisa, you put that article. You shared that article earlier today, didn't you? Wasn't maybe you know more?
Well, I'll read a definition for you because it's something that I just started hearing about too, and I actually think it was Jared that I first started hearing it from, and I'm like, what is this? You know, that I should probably know about. This definition says it's the expression or promotion of viewpoints that are especially valued within a social group, especially when it's done primarily to enhance the social standing of the speaker. For example, expressing a hatred of the conservative newspaper Daily Mail might be an example of virtue signaling among the British left. The term is chiefly used by commentators to criticize the expression of tribalistic, socially progressive views on social media, but has also been used to describe analogous behavior in other groups like pro-gun rights grandstanding among the American right, and by signaling theorists to discuss conspicuous piety among the religious faithful. So
So it's trying to like fit in with the crowd, right?
yeah, that's
To continually prove worth to the crowd that you want to be in, essentially.
Yeah.
yes, I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
that's a good way
All
to
right.
describe it.
So that
I'm
makes
so glad I don't have that problem.
well because
I'm probably in that bucket with you there, Coon Cat.
Well, I did read a little of that article, and I guess that now makes a little more sense to me because I think I saw something about it's attaching it to not necessarily good ideas, but it's just what the group wants, and I guess it's kind of just like almost ganging up on people and just to make like I guess you said that, Dave, to make the or no the part of the definition, Lisa, is to make the speaker look better, I guess. So it's just you see that a lot, and I think that actually would be tied to
The people that are like, oh, we're so progressive that we adopted a African baby from that's the only reason they adopted it.
Oh.
That's virtue signaling.
I gotcha. Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah, and it results in the echo chamber, and I've actually been, the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I see that in the anarchist community online, the echo chamber, everybody's repeating each other's ideas, and then I think that a lot of times the aggressive and sometimes arrogant attitude that some of us have kind of rubs off on each other, and it becomes contagious and infectious, and it spreads, and it's like all of a sudden we're all being bullies to status, and yeah. So
I think
I've noticed
all
it's been bothering me.
I think all Facebook is an echo chamber. Like most of my friends on Facebook are the people in the ANCAP community, and I'm so tired of memes this and memes that about how bad the state is. I get it. Like,
Yeah, I'm burned
occasionally I'll find a funny one and post one. Like I posted one today about like the 3 different styles of beer, It had Hillary, Trump, and Gary Johnson. It was funny.
that one was
I
funny.
wasn't trying to make
Yeah.
this big political, taxation is theft and roads, blah. I can't take it anymore. I really can't.
Yeah, it's that, and it's all the bad cop stuff. Like, okay, we know, like it's just it's every day now, and
And
I don't
what's
know.
funny is I've talked to people that I actually talk to outside of online. They don't see half the posts. So I think that the what's it called? The algorithms that run, all the social media. You see what, like, you guys will see all those posts because you post them as well. So when I share stuff like that, you guys will see it. But my friend who is a farmer who is not as into that stuff, he's not going to see those posts. So it's just one giant echo chamber.
right. I've had
Not
people,
unless it's shared a ton.
right. I've had
By
friends,
a lot of common friends, yeah.
I've had lifelong friends, people I've known since I was a kid, send me messages over the last few months and say, I love you, Lisa, but I'm going to unfollow you because your friends are jerks. And like,
Yeah.
I'm sick of seeing all the depressing stuff and your friends are jerks. And I've had people send me messages and ask, does your friend such and such hate me for some reason? And I'm like, no, why? And they say, because he's so mean to me on your posts and the comments and so condescending. And I'm like, I'm sorry. So I'm kind of I don't want to discuss anything controversial anymore because it's alienating people. It's not having the effect that I want it to have, which is to get people to think differently and consider other ideas. It's not working anymore.
Well, it's a twofold problem. One, I think you have a valid point that a lot of people in this community, well, let's be blunt about it, they can be real dicks when they're trying to get their point across. And then you have the other side of it where people are just so easily offended by anything. Oh, boo-hoo! You abused my feelings. It's like, gross that, will you? I have no patience for
reels
any of
over
that shit
reels over
anymore.
feels all day.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I like, maybe arguing, and I don't want to say attacking someone's idea, but, talking about the idea, not the person, like calling people stupid and, all the other words that we hear that I don't know if you guys say them on the show, but.
Oh, yeah, you can say whatever you want.
The C word, cuck, yeah. Like, if you don't agree with me, you're a cuck and you're an idiot and you're a stupid status and, bootlicker and all this. And I'm like, oh, man, come on. Like, that just alienates people. Why are they going to listen to the thing you say if you don't respect them?
I think I tweeted about the whole cuck thing, about because all it is the alt-right and the Donald people are that's their word, right? And I always
whole thing.
it cracks me up. They're calling everyone a cuck who isn't voting for Donald, and I'm like, you're voting for a ruler, yet I'm a cuck. How does that make any sense at all?
Right.
To me, voting for a man to run another man to run your life would be the ultimate cuck, and I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I think I tweeted. I was like, everyone who doesn't vote for Donald is totally a cuck, and then it was like, says every totally not cucked Donald voter.
Well, there's two ways to look at it too. Like, I have a lot of friends on Facebook who are kind of statist, and they'll post it's time for Bernie or Hillary or Trump or whatever. And I just kind of do the drive-by thing, shoot them some core ANCAP libertarian principles, a statement or two. And I always promise myself that's all it's going to be is a drive-by, but I never follow through because I just end up arguing with them. And there's two people recently that I got into, and I made sure not to lose my cool, not to call names, because in the past I've been known to do that. I mean, I've been known to call people, some very bad names.
Just here's what I do, right? Here's what I do to control myself, Chandler. Every time I want to call someone, just a fucking asshole or something, or just an idiot, I just call them a silly goose. And I literally type out silly goose, and I say, you're just being such a silly goose right now. And I think that's better than getting all mad and angry and letting them know that they've at least got to you.
And that's exactly it. So what I've done, the last few big debates, and I think one of them was about voting and one of them was about guns. I get more worked up about the guns than I do the voting for whatever reason. And obviously, why would you bother? Because people that have that opinion, that's like a statist trying to change my opinion. It ain't gonna happen. So why would you bother? And when people are that deeply invested in those ideas and those systems, you wouldn't bother. So I just changed the topic. Like, one of the guys had a really cool, straight out of Compton, modified GIF for his profile, and I was like, oh, I love that profile pic. Did you make that? And then the rest of the thread was us talking about Photoshop and GIMP and, how to do the layers and stuff. And hey, maybe in the future he won't think I'm such a tyrannical asshole libertarian guy, and he might actually listen to me. I don't know. Maybe not. It doesn't matter, because the end of the conversation was kind of cool. So that's what I try to go for now, because what's the point in arguing with people? Either they get it or they don't.
Well,
right.
Sure. I mean, I guess it's funny. I mean, listening to you guys, describe a lot of this stuff. I mean, I've been guilty of it too, but I also I attribute this, and I've said this a bunch of times, I attributed a lot of it to the angry anarchist phase that a lot of people seem to go through early on. I went through it hardcore for the first year or so. I was very militant about my ideas, and I wanted to impress them upon everybody at every opportunity, and I didn't really take no for an answer. So I know what that's like. And the one thing I was thinking as I was listening to you guys talk about this was that I think, unfortunately, I mean, for people like, yourselves, and I guess even me for the most part, I mean, I do try to stay away from it. I usually just troll our Seeds of Liberty page every once in a while, and just if somebody has a extremely ridiculous comment, I'll usually engage them for a while, and it's usually just an exercise for other people to read, not for the person I'm dealing with. I'll usually go full out and avoid, for the most part, insults unless they start insulting me first, or I'll just string them along and just play the logic game, but I'll do it. And there's been ones that have gone on for like days on our page where I've gone back and forth with people for like hours. Yeah, no. I think the longest one was like
Kudos to you, man, because I don't have the attention span. After about 20 minutes, I'm done.
Oh, sure. But you're leaving a book, though. You're leaving a book for anyone that might read it. Because I don't know about you guys, but I think we've all caught ourselves down reading in comments between two people that have had an actually really good discussion, and you're like, this changed my opinion. And when you're sitting on the sideline watching two people debate, it allows you to kind of not be, regardless of whose side you're on, you're still not as invested as the person that's in the actual debate, so you can kind of judge it a little more objectively.
Oh yeah, for sure. Kudos to you. I'll leave that to you guys because you are much better humans than I am. I just can't do it.
I don't blame you. But what I was gonna say though, I mean, like I do that type of stuff still, not as much as I used to. I have got more and more away from it. But I think the one thing, at least in my experiences, because I know the type of people that all of you are describing, because I've run into them, I've been them, so I understand their mindset to a certain degree. But I see this stuff happening, and I think a lot of it may have to do with the fact that there is this constant, albeit somewhat minimal, but a constant influx of new anarchists, because the ideas really have continued to spread. And I mean, it was one thing when I first came to this and I looked to people and talked to people like Larkin Rose and whoever else has been here, been doing this and preaching this gospel for 15, 20 years or whatever. And every one of them said, oh, the surge has been crazy in the last 5 years or so. And like, I couldn't appreciate it until I could see it. And now being on this side of the fence for 4+ years at this point, now I can see it where I'm coming across more and more people that I'm like, wow, there really are a lot more of us, and they seem to keep coming in drips and drabs. But I think that may have a lot to do with the hostility, where there's so many.
It's not a populist movement.
Yeah, well, yeah, but there's so many. There's like a staggered level of angry anarchists constantly coming in, and when you mix that with virtue signaling. All of these guys and girls and whoever else is going to want to, even in this type of community, is still going to want to, cheer each other on and try to demean and dismiss other people as a group in the same way that the Republicans or Democrats or any of the other groups would do to each other too. So
it's funny. You talked about going through that angry, hardcore stage when you first became an anarchist. I never had that. I went through the angry, I'm a minarchist, I'm a constitutionalist, I'm a small government guy. That's when I was like really militant, handing around constitutions and declarations of independence and open carrying at public events. And, that's when I was really militant about that stuff. And once I became an anarchist, I was just like, whatever. I mean, if you want to be a happy little statist, and go ahead. I feel bad for you. I wish you thought like I did, but I don't really care enough anymore. So I kind of skipped that whole thing. I guess I was lucky.
I didn't have that phase either, but I don't think it's in my nature really too. I've gotten frustrated with people though before, and usually it's if they come at me and say that I'm a dreamer, and what I perceive as kind of personal attacks, because I'm not stupid, and I don't like when people insult my intelligence, and that gets to me, and like, oh, you're a dreamer and this is just stupid and you need to get back to your fantasy land. Like, that condescending tone doesn't sit well with me, and that sometimes will cause me to react, but I don't call them names or anything. I'll just say, really,
so,
how's the state working for you right now? Because
what do you guys think is the easier category of, I hate to say, collective of people to deal with? Is it the the conservatives, the Republicans, the min-staters, or the liberals? Because for me, like, the conservative side, I can put them in their place so quick. It's so easy.
SJWs.
But the liberals, man, especially the intellectuals, like that guy I got into the gun debate with, like, I'll grant him that he was really smart. He could quote a lot of statistics and, use a lot of psychology. What do they call it? Counter psychology. I don't know, man. He just took a long time to say nothing. Like, his posts were like paragraphs upon paragraphs, and mine were just like, a couple sentences.
Yeah.
But he had this air of superiority, like, I am an intellectual, and you're just one of those dumb rednecks who doesn't like to follow rules, and you want a utopia.
Really good article that you've got to remind me to find for you in case you encounter that kind of person again, and it's designed for that. And I can't remember I think I heard this guy on the Tom Woods show, but I can't remember. And he's with not the NRA, but the other gun organization that's supposed to be the one that's not compromising.
Gun Owners of America.
Maybe it's that one. Yeah, I think his name's
they're
Larry.
really good.
Yeah, he's got an article about how to talk to people like that, and it's really good. And he actually had a debate with a liberal professor who did the same thing to him, who was, trying to, use this academic tone and was condescending. And, the guy just asked him questions. Well, what do you think about this? Do you think? And I liked his approach, but I can't remember exactly what he said. It's wild.
I think that's probably the best method to take, is to just keep asking questions.
Yeah, I try that with people,
Yeah.
and sometimes they bust me and say, stop it with your Socratic questioning. And I'm like, well, I'm just trying to understand where you're coming from, how you think about things, because I'm trying to understand that first, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But some people don't like it.
I'm just not wired like that. I'm trying to understand.
Right, I just don't get it. I never have, but I've never really been a statist. I had this neighbor back in like 2001 who said, oh, are you a Republican or a Democrat or what? And I said, I just want the government to leave people alone and people should mind their own business. And he said, oh, so you're a libertarian? I said, I don't know what that is, but okay. So I went and Googled, and I'm like, all right, well, this kind of makes sense. So in 2004, I voted for Michael Bagnerick, and then after that, I just stopped voting.
So did I.
Yeah. So I just said, Bob Barr, 2008, I was like, no. And Gary Johnson, 2012, no way. So I've never had the, angry. I didn't identify as a voluntarist or anything until 2012 when I first heard the term, and I'm like, oh, this is what I am. No, I can't be an anarchist. That's like somebody who blows stuff up. But the more I read about it, I'm like, yeah, this taxation is theft, and all this stuff. But so I don't. Yeah. It's really hard for me because I've never been in their place, so it's really hard for me to understand. I'm like, how do you not get what I'm saying? Like, this doesn't, because it's natural to me.
Well, yeah, you have all this confirmation bias behind it.
Right.
Yeah, and that's and it's just beat in through, well, I mean, if all this didn't matter and this is all just the state doesn't exist, then why are there television shows and all this and all that dedicated to, it's like, it's so much confirmation bias backing up their beliefs. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to even start cracking that surface.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my parents are Republicans, and they don't like Trump, and they're all disgruntled. Like, what are we going to do because Hillary's awful? And I'm like, don't vote. And they looked at me like I had three heads. And I said, well, I mean, if you're not, why would you vote? Well, we have to vote so Hillary doesn't get in. And I'm like, well, vote for Gary Johnson if you feel like you must vote.
Where do they live?
You must vote. Maryland. Yeah, and they're from New York.
That's going to go... Maryland's going to go Democrat whether they vote or not. So there's one argument. Your vote doesn't matter anyways because of gerrymandered districts. There's another argument. All you have to do is just start laying out arguments to why you shouldn't even vote. There's no point in voting at all.
He said, you're crazy and that's never going to work and that's not how it is because, they're set in their ways. Yeah. And I said, okay, I won't say anything else. That's fine. And
that's the thing I've run into. Like, my dad is, I don't know, I wouldn't call him political by any stretch. He's just a gay man, so of course he has to be a Democrat because either you're a Democrat or a Republican, right? And Republicans hate gays. So he's a Democrat, and when I started explaining this stuff to him, he's like, well, that's a nice theory, but that'll never work in the real world. And it's like, that's the thing I hear the most. And okay, so it's going to be a hard road to get there, but we should just continue doing the same thing that doesn't work and hurts people. I mean, at what point do you say, all right, it's time to try something new? You have to at least give it a try. Even if you fail, right? I mean, at least you've tried something new. I came across, I was listening to the Corbett Report this morning, and I came across an episode called Solutions Agorism, and he talked about the writings of Samuel Konkin, who I wasn't familiar with. I guess I must be behind the curve.
He's the one who pretty much coined the term agorism, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He coined a lot of terms, and he played a lot of his stuff from his his audiobook. It's really cool, and some of it is really long, drawn out. I think it would lose people, but there was a couple of paragraphs from his book that he read that were very succinct and very straightforward to the point and made sense. And I'm like, okay, it's those core ideas you need to hit people with and just leave it at that, right? And boom. And as a side note, I really wish that Morgan Freeman would narrate all those Mises books and because the people they have narrating them are boring as hell.
Well, see that.
I should start reading. I have all these impressions I can do. I should start reading them. I guess I should just pick up a Mises book and start reading it.
You and Jim.
Who should I do? Jesse Ventura?
Well,
should I
you could
Jesse
do the
Ventura?
Tourette's guy. I was thinking like Morgan Freeman would be the highbrow approach, and then you could do the Tourette's guy, which would be the really lowbrow approach. But it could be really
Morgan
funny.
Freeman. Yes. Cop it. How you run wall to wall. Anyway.
Well,
This is Morgan Freeman.
See, that's funny. I think Diana used to do those for a while. She should go back and do them again, make them more interesting. Unfortunately, a lot of those books, unless they're read by a really cool author themselves, a lot of audiobooks are very dry to listen to. Unfortunately, because I went through a stage.
Neil Gaiman read them.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, he's a writer.
Oh.
He's wonderful.
I think the guy that does the voice for Nathan Explosion should read it. Can you imagine listening to Mises in this voice?
Yeah, that would be. I may actually.
action by fucking Ludwig von Mises.
Who's the guy that does the ads on the Fiends? The Russian guy?
Well,
From like Death Clock or something?
yeah.
That's
Nathan.
Brendan Fraser, the guy that actually does the voices for him. Not
That would
Brendan
be great.
Fraser,
Let's have him do
Brendan
it.
Small.
Mummy. What?
This
Brendan
is
Fraser. What
Squiggle,
happened to him,
Squiggle.
man? I want more mummy movies.
Mummy
Brendan
Oh,
Fraser
no.
just be fighting mummies till the end of time.
I thought they were. I thought I saw they were doing another one. They were actually going to try to bring that back.
They really do need to do
I
one.
hope
They got to
The
wrap
scene
it
with
up,
the
man.
Beatles. Oh, and
The first one was
saw the
all right.
first
Oh,
one.
dude,
I
the
stopped
movie
at
was
that.
so good.
It was.
You haven't seen the second one? The second one's good.
Okay, listen. I've always been a huge Brendan Fraser fan, and I really wanted to like those movies. The first one was okay, Dave. After that, it was just
Yeah.
ridiculous. And then the Scorpion King and everything
You're
else that
just
came
a
out of that.
Brendan Fraser hater.
I'm not. No, I'm a huge fan of his. What is it? Monkey Bone. Monkey Bone. That stupid movie, Monkey Bone, is one of my favorite movies.
Speaking of
I like
horrible
Encino
movies, yeah, that was good. Speaking of horrible movies that I just watched, I just booted up The Last Heist with Henry Rollins, and it was one of the worst movies I ever seen. Like the
he's such a
writing and
comic.
the writing and the acting in it was just very predictable and dry and horrible. But I will say, the part that Henry Rollins played, he played it to perfection. He played a serial killer who doesn't talk much and is very to the point and blunt. And that's pretty much Henry Rollins anyway. So, yeah.
I got to see him speak live at one of his, I don't know,
Oh,
just
yeah.
one of his
He's
live
great
shows he was
live.
doing, his tour.
Yeah.
He was a little too commie for my taste, man. And this was when I was
That must
like
have
a
been the
hardline
last one he
Republican.
did where he did the 50 states thing.
Yeah, when he came to
It was
Alabama,
like
I was
4
just sitting there
years
just
ago.
like,
yeah.
see,
he was
maybe.
he was a lot funnier back in the day.
Back in the day.
when he
See,
was,
I like bottom Henry Rollins. You know what I'm talking about? Like Black Flag. Like I like
Yeah.
that Henry Rollins. I don't like this bullshit. I don't know. I want to be a
political
commie,
and
but
I'm
make a lot of money off of
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah, it's
I hate
just-
every commie that says that shit.
The first time I saw him, and keep in mind this is like when I was in my conservative Republican phase, and it was during the I think it was like the 2004 elections or whatever when Kerry and Bush were running, and he was just making fun of Bush so hard. But you know what? It was really funny. Like, he was doing it in a very non-political, tasteful, funny way. So whatever. But his older stuff, like, he has this one skit. I think it's off the album Human Butt, and it's called "Donate Your Bodies to Science, You Fools," and it's about this bum he used to hang out with when he's a teenager. It's the greatest skit ever. I mean, that's what I like with the comedians that just tell stories of crazy stuff they've done. Don't get all political on me.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I only want to see political comedians when I want to see political comedians. Like, I don't like the ones that interject that shit in nilly-willy.
Well, that happens all over Hollywood and the music industry. I mean, I just saw it's funny. Just you're talking about stuff like that. I just happened to catch a clip of. Who is it? It was Dan Aykroyd, who I hadn't heard anything from in like years, and he was on some show. They were interviewing and talking because I guess the whatchamacallit that what's the from the Ghostbusters movie, Leslie Jones, I think her name is, apparently got into a Twitter war with is she the one who got Milo booted? Yes. From Twitter, yeah,
that's what that was all about.
Yeah, apparently, I don't know
Milo
what
did a review
I don't know what
on
Milo said.
Ghostbusters.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. And she got mad and went into like a tirade and basically called him a racist, I guess, and got him kicked off of Twitter temporarily. But before that happened, Dan Aykroyd came on and they were asking about, obviously just because the connection to the original Ghostbusters, and they were asking what he thought, and he was saying that everybody that was saying anything about her was like insignificant twits or whatever, and they meant nothing, so it didn't matter. But then, for absolutely no reason, he just went into a tirade against Donald Trump. So it's just like they just have to shoehorn those views. Like, it wasn't about that at all. It was totally about the Ghostbusters movie, Leslie Jones, and this interaction between her and Milo and all these other people. And for absolutely no reason, he just had to slip his views in there. It's like, you see that all the time, and it's like, why? Like, yeah. Why do you people have to do that? Why do you have to ruin the wonderfulness that is your?
Because they're public figures and they have a right. No, they have an imperative to insert their political views upon everyone that may be watching. Like the client I work at, one of the houses, they have the TV on every morning, and it's one of those morning shows. I don't know, the black guy and the white girl or whatever. And what was that racist?
No.
I was like,
I think there's more than one show that's like.
I don't see color, Chandler. So
okay.
Yeah,
well, whatever.
Kind of racist.
Dave's triggered.
All right. Well, anyway,
I'm so goddamn triggered right now.
No.
All right,
but yeah, man,
you
get these guests. They're like chefs and actors and TV stars, and they're supposed to be talking about their new project. And inevitably, especially this year because it's an election season, you get the inevitable. Well, I think it's horrible what so and so is doing, or guns. Guns is a big thing they like to bash on those shows. So I just
they
have
all
to
have
walk
armed
in the other room.
bodyguards.
Yeah.
To protect them from the riffraff who shouldn't have guns, of course.
I think the only person I'd want to hear talk about this stuff is probably Woody Harrelson. He's probably the only one.
He's pretty funny.
Yeah, that I would want to
But I can't lie. If I got famous as all heck, if I was on Woody Harrelson's pedestal right now, I would be probably doing a lot more than he is. I'd probably be going crazy.
Well, see,
they'd probably shut me up quick.
But if you have that level of notoriety, fame, whatever you want to call it, you can start a YouTube channel, and people are going to check it out because you're, I don't know, who's famous right now. Whoever's the flavor of the month.
Whoever, I don't know, yeah.
I don't know. I don't keep up with any of that shit.
Me either.
But, if you're the flavor of the month, start a YouTube channel. Start a webcast or whatever. People will tune in and just say, hey, look, I don't feel like talking about this shit on TV. That's to talk about my projects or whatever. But on this channel, I'm going to talk about how horrible, Hillary Clinton is, or how horrible whoever, the government, whatever. And you're going into it honestly. You're not trying to sneak that viewpoint in. And I think people will appreciate it more.
Yeah, I think some would. Unfortunately, there's a lot of those people's fans who usually are just mindless drones in a lot of
Screw them
capacities.
If they don't like it.
Well, I'm not saying they're gonna like, but yeah, but why don't people do that? Because I mean, I don't know. I mean, the people who do it now do it because, well, they can take advantage of the large crowds, and they don't care about who they alienate, because they know there's more than enough of their fans that will just eat up pretty much whatever they say. You know, there's
how sad is that?
well, exactly. I mean, there's people that I've known in my lifetime, and people I come across still to this day, that like actually wait for certain celebrities or whatever that they love to make their endorsement, to solidify their own beliefs, which I guess actually could also be tied to like virtue signaling. That's also basically virtue signaling. That they're looking for it, like they're looking for that acceptance so they can. But there's a lot of people out there like that. It's because unfortunately they've got wrapped up in the bread and circuses, so that's all they have. Because a lot of people, I mean, I don't know. I really think a lot of people do recognize that there's something really, really wrong with what's going on, and it's not that it's just Obama or that it was just Bush or any of these people in particular. I really believe that a lot more people actually have, like, deep down, really know something's really messed up.
No,
and
I disagree with you.
Really?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. People will say it's the old argument. Well, we just have to vote the right people in. Basically, they'll make up all kinds of excuses. They'll say, "Well, I know all politicians are corrupt and all banksters are corrupt and evil, but we'll get it this time. We'll get our guy in." I mean, God love him. A lot of my friends supported Ron Paul in the last 2 campaigns, and they just thought if they could get him in. They don't recognize that it's the system itself, that it's the idea that we should be ruled and governed. We should abdicate that authority to other people. So yeah, maybe they know something's wrong, but they don't really get it.
Oh
they
no,
don't get it on a personal level.
Oh no,
they just want to put somebody else in.
Sure. Oh no, I would agree with that. I would just I think we're actually in agreement, because I was just saying that they have it. It's deep down, and for me, when I look at that, to me it just they don't see it because it's subconscious. they don't recognize, like exactly like you said, they don't recognize it on a personal level. There's just this abstract idea floating in their subconscious that there's something wrong, because I mean. I really think
cognitive dissonance keeps that protected.
Well, sure. And and then they look for their confirmation, but they seek out their confirmation biases to keep that going.
You've got the people that are, and I don't want to sound crude, but are just fucking stupid, that will go out and wait for the celebrity endorsement and vote and do whatever because somebody told them to. And you have tons of those people. We don't see those people because they're not as active on a lot of the venues we are, social media and that sort of thing. So I don't think we notice them as much, but they're out there. Just go to Walmart on a Friday night. Tell me you don't see them. But then you even have intelligent people who are, and good people that are, I have friends that are very kind people, are very intelligent people. But they don't want to believe that Hillary Clinton could have lied and exposed national secrets and maybe had people killed. They've said it. I just don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that my country could have orchestrated something like 9/11 or, stuff that's been proven, the Gulf of Tonkin incident, all that stuff. I don't want to believe it. So they go on and do the same old thing. I hate to sound pessimistic, but I think if humanity has another 100 years on this rock, we're lucky. Because I just don't see it, I think you're going to see some drastic changes, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I think you'll see small pockets of people that are a little more enlightened, that are willing to maybe take more responsibility for themselves, that may survive and maybe possibly thrive. But as a whole society, I think we're fucked.
I do too. That's why lately I don't care anymore. And you know what? It's weird because I'm not worried about it anymore. I'm at peace. I'm just like, whatever happens, happens. I don't care. I don't mean to sound like a nihilist or anything.
I think, no. I think the longer you become an anarchist,
Yeah.
I think the longer you become an anarchist, the more you become involved in learning about freedom, the more you realize that no one is in control, that chaos is the only thing that's happening, and you come to peace with that. So
I think that's what
Well,
happened.
there's
to
no
me,
central
like, a
plan.
week and a half
Isn't
ago.
that the whole tenet of anarchism?
Sure.
It's not
Well,
even
no,
about
that-
chaos. It's
even
just
the
that-
people that are planning right now, that their plans never go out as functioned. It's always a rigged job, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
chaos. So
Yep.
But I think the one difference
you
is
come to
that
terms with
those
it.
people. I think those people that you're talking about, though, like the powers that shouldn't be, or whatever you want to call them, I think they plan for that chaos because it affects the average person. The average person is bombarded, especially in the information age. I don't care who you are. You're bombarded with so much information, so much distraction, so much everything. How can you focus? I mean, let's be honest. The average attention span is what, 10 seconds? I mean, I'm guilty of it. I just, like I said earlier, I can't argue on social media for more than 20 minutes and I'm fried. And, I think that's good
Yeah.
for some people.
Yeah.
I mean, the average attention span is so short. So when you throw out constant chaos, how are people supposed to gain a perspective, a direction? When
Well, they
they're
believe
constantly-
that certain things are in control, so they can put that in the back of their mind and just go about their business.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
suppose.
truly what that is. I mean, they bury that deep so they don't have to worry about it. Is the dollar going to collapse tomorrow? That's not really a thought that runs through, I would say, 90% of people's heads, but it runs through my head every day.
See, that's funny because I'm well aware of the situation with economics and how perilously close we are to the collapse of calamitous proportions. And I don't even think about it every day anymore. I can't. I
Yeah.
just sometimes when I'm at the grocery store, I'll buy a few extra things, even if I don't need them right off, because if it happens tomorrow, at least I'll be prepared for a week or so, that sort of thing. But I went through a stage where that's all I lived and breathed, was preparing and worrying about what the state is doing, global affairs and all that stuff. And holy shit, man, that burns you out so quick.
Oh yeah.
I just don't care anymore. I'm planning to leave the U.S. in a couple of years anyway, and thankfully I can work from anywhere as long as there's internet, so that's good. But I'd live a simple life somewhere if I could just escape, to an island. Or
But where do you
whatever. I don't
go?
know.
Where do you, I mean,
I
the
don't know,
state
Costa
has its
Rica.
clutches. Yeah, that's
sure,
that's
I
the one I
don't
hear
know.
all the time.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure. I mean, there's problems there too. So who knows?
Well,
My daughter, like I said, she's in Romania. She's like, we should move here. It's wonderful. And I'm
It's
like,
wonderful.
I'm sure there's problems there too, but don't tempt me because right now,
Do they finally give up on communism altogether over there?
I don't know.
Well, see, and that's the thing. Like, I'm such a stubborn bastard, and maybe a little bit lazy too. I don't want to go anywhere. If shit falls to pieces, oh well. I got a few friends. I know how to hunt. I mean, I'm lazy now, but if the shit hits the fan and I need to get some stuff done, I'll do it. I won't hesitate.
Yep.
I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere because you can't get away from it. And why would you? If things fall apart, you pick up the pieces and do the best you can. Maybe that's a good teaching moment for a lot of people, right? And when things go to hell, you're going to need some people around to set a good example, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think about the movie Zombieland, and I'm like, if it's like that, just like take me out and y'all can
Yeah.
eat me or whatever, because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna want to live if everybody else around me is dead and is zombified and like everything's
Oh, yeah, I
destroyed.
wouldn't.
Like, I don't want to try to rebuild society. Like, what's that other movie? I don't know.
I
There's
guess
a
it all
bunch of
depends
movies
on
like
where
that.
you're at, right?
I guess. Yeah,
I mean, if the zombie
Well, we don't have
apocalypse
to worry
breaks out
about
while
your
you're
name.
in the no, if it breaks out while you're like climbing Everest, you could just stay up there and live with the frickin' Sherpas. You'd be alright.
Yeah, see, that's. It's
Well, we don't
get
see,
out of here.
we don't have to worry about the zombie apocalypse as much in Maine because 8 months of the year it's cold as hell, and 6 months of the year it's frozen. So, You know, those zombies will be frozen for 6 months, and during that 6 months, you just go out and stab them all in the head.
Double tap. No, I'm in the
But that's not
criminals
the
area right now.
oh, yeah.
So I want to get the heck out of here because
Yeah, you got to get out of there.
I'm not in a good place
Yeah.
to be. No.
Well, any urban area, I think, in all seriousness, when the collapse comes, no matter how much they try to soften the blow and steer it to a certain direction, when that moment comes, you don't want to be in an urban area.
Oh, absolutely not.
There's too many factors that you cannot plan for.
No, you want to be in a rural area with a farm already going. That's exactly where you want.
Well, yeah, that's ideal, but I mean,
I live in like a little small beach town in the country, and this is mostly farmland around here. But it's close. I mean, I'm only a half an hour from DC, so it's close enough that if something happens, I'm doomed.
I'm 45 minutes from New York City. And,
you're doomed
but
too.
but no, not even. But on top of that, because I was gonna say, I maybe just as bad, if not worse, is being in a suburban area that close to a major city and being on a fucking island like I am. I'm in one of the worst possible
You're gonna be
positions.
the first target.
Well, exactly. Well, we were talking about the other night about them fanning out from the major cities and going and looking for food and elsewhere. I mean, I'm one of the few people that will be able to protect my house at least. I'm pretty sure most of my neighbors don't even have any guns, so I'll be alright for a while, and they can all fight amongst themselves.
Everyone thinks that, but then what's going to happen is local militias are going to pop up and they're going to control everything.
Yeah,
they're going to control everything.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh no, I know that. I was just saying, that's why I said for a little while, just till I can get myself off the island.
Well, we started talking the other night, and Michael made a comment in passing about there will be chaos and bloodshed, and it'll be a tough transition for a little while. And he kind of said it in passing jokingly. And I actually think that's very true. I think when the shift in consciousness comes, when the collapse comes, it's not going to be 6 months and then people are going to decide to work together and create this wonderful voluntary society.
No.
We're going to have years and years of horrible, horrible living conditions, because that's the only way people will learn. And a lot of people are going to die. A lot of people just aren't going to get it. They're going to be horrible human beings. A lot of people will be victims. And it's not going to be a smooth
Bitcoin's going to
transition.
prevent a lot of that.
Okay, so what happens?
A lot of that.
What happens when a lot of this centralized, and I know there are decentralized networks, but what happens when a lot of the infrastructure goes down, when the internet is not as readily available? I mean, yeah, you can do meshnet networks and all that stuff. What good is that going to do you though? If you I'm in Maine.
I think the statisticians have looked at it, all the Bitcoin programmers and all the theorists and everything, and they've all deemed that there's no logical way that you could brute force shut down Bitcoin right now with the technology that we have.
Right, but what I'm talking about, and what I've always said, is what happens when there's a collapse of the systems that we all of us, take for granted every day.
Yeah.
When there's a collapse of those systems, just think about something as simple as it's trash day. I miss trash day. Oh well, it's no biggie. I only had 2 bags of trash. I can put it out next week. What happens when there's no more trash day?
Oh, you drive it to the dump.
Somebody's got to either privatize and start doing it, or somebody's got to take their ass to the landfill.
Right. How long before people learn how to do that, though?
I think it really depends on the community.
Do you see what I'm saying? So many people are so dependent on that. Well, the city comes and picks up my trash. They're not going to know.
Compare,
they don't know what
the aftermath of Katrina to other hurricanes. So I lived in Virginia on the water when Hurricane Isabel hit. And we went for 2 weeks without power, and we all... I didn't even know my neighbors. I hadn't lived there very long. Got to know all my neighbors. We all worked together to cut down trees. One guy drove all the way to Pennsylvania and bought generators for everybody and brought them back. But we were all cooperative, and thankfully we didn't have any looters or anything like that in our neighborhood, because it was a pretty nice neighborhood. But somewhere where the people aren't so nice, maybe,
Yeah,
portrayal
and I
happen?
think
Like, it's going to be
I
chaos.
think you guys are right that there will be those pockets. You know, people will band together and learn. I mean, I've seen it when we had the ice storm in '98. I mean, that was a big deal. You know, going 3-4 weeks in the dead of winter with no power.
Whoa.
That can be life or death.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No joke.
Yeah.
And there was a few people that died, and you know, some shit happened, but for the most part people worked together. So yes, there will be those pockets, but that was one event. That was an ice storm, or that was a hurricane. What happens when there's a systemic collapse of the infrastructure we take for granted? That's what I'm talking
we're screwed.
about.
Well, yeah.
You know,
I think the sooner it happens, the worse things will be, because so many people are not prepared in any capacity. And when you have the pockets of communities that are able to work together and not implode, and then you have all these other areas where people are just pretty much turning into animals, there's going to be the clamor for something to replace what has collapsed.
yes.
And that's
when they'll welcome the FEMA. That's when they'll welcome the UN, the world government.
Yes.
I've said this for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, people, I know my dad and I had this conversation one day, and he's like, oh, that can never happen here. I'm like, Dad, think about it. The UN, NATO, basically extensions of the U.S. military empire, goes into what it deems a failed state militarily, takes over, right? What happens when the United States or large swaths of it become a failed state? You don't think that the other power brokers in the world aren't going to jump on that opportunity and say, hey, we need to send the UN in, you know, to take care of these people for their own good? I've had discussions with people in our own circles that are just like, it doesn't matter. It won't affect me. You know, I've got my computer. I've got my Bitcoin. I've got my guns. I've got some food. It's like, okay, what are you going to do when they knock on your door? Or why would they? And I'm like, are you really that naive? You know, people are going to be clamoring for it. They're going to be like, save us. So the people that decide to band together and do their own thing, guess what happens? We become the bad guys.
Exactly.
We don't want to submit to the new system.
Yeah, and again, that's why the the whole and the push the button scenario, or the collapse happening sooner rather than later, has always scared me more than anything. Ever since I started to realize all this, and I was like, oh, which is another reason, you know, going back to what we were talking about earlier, why I still continue to try to engage as many people as I can, you know, beyond just doing podcasts and radio shows, like, because I really, really want to reach people.
But you know what I think? Oh, I was going to say, you know what I think is even more important than that? Like, it would be really nice if more people understood the core principles of what we consider libertarianism. But what, to me, has become more important is I want to have a network of people. I want to have friends that know how to cut meat, know how to garden a hell of a lot better than I do, know how to do MacGyver shit with toothpicks and elastics and copper wire. I want to get a group of people, a group of friends together that have all these skills. And you know what? When the time comes, yeah, we'll be a collective. We'll be a voluntary collective, but we'll all have skills. It doesn't matter if they believe in the non-aggression. Well, I guess that does kind of matter. But it doesn't matter if they think, you know, we shouldn't have government or we should. Because when it comes down to it, it's going to be about surviving and thriving and what skills you have and how you can apply them, how you can exchange your services. And that's what I think is the most important thing now.
Sure. And that's funny. I try to do that too, actually, where I've been trying to build my own little network of people like that. And because I have some skills, but there's people I've met that have a lot more, and they're willing to share them with me. And what you were saying about the voluntary collective too, like that's actually been tossed around by some people that I've been talking to for a while about essentially just getting out even before the collapse and trying to start basically what essentially would be to start a voluntary commune, collective, whatever. But it would be people that we'd all trust. You know, we trusted each other, and we all had specific skills that we could bring and do certain things. So, like exactly what you were talking about, to survive and thrive. So yeah, man, I'm totally on board with that.
Yeah, my best
Well,
friend
now
is a
we
prepper.
need to get the rest of the world on
She's
board.
always like, we got to do this. She runs the site, The Organic Prepper, and she's an expert. You know, she's written books, and she's always telling me, you got to do this. And I work for preppers, and they've sent me food and things before and told me, like, you need to do this and that. Make sure you're prepared. So I have tons of food here, but I don't have enough water, and they always lecture me about that. But we've talked about, you know, all of us getting some land somewhere and doing what you're talking about, like kind of forming our own community where we all have skills that are valuable and
I'll tell you,
collaborate.
I'm wanting
That
to buy up the
type-
whole city.
yeah, wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
That sort of thing is going to be more valuable than guns, bullets, gold, because yeah, it's nice to be able to defend yourself, and it's a good thing, but I can defend myself pretty well with the various amounts of swords and batleths and knives and other instruments I have around my home. But I can't eat all that shit. I can't eat my bullets. So it would be nice to have some extra food, or to have friends that know some really, really good gardening tips, like how to garden in the winter in cold climates. I mean, that's worth a hell of a lot more than a 9mm. But there's a lot of people that don't see that, unfortunately. Oh, I got my guns, they're never taking them. Well, that's fine. Great. I've got mine too, but there's a little bit more to it than that. You know, you only got one piece of the puzzle there, bub.
This might be the people you want to watch out for, because they come for your stuff.
Because they'll get hungry. They got plenty of guns. They have, 50,000 rounds of ammunition, but
You
they
might
got
need
like
dinner.
3 cans of beans in the basement.
Yeah, well, those are the type of people that will be trying to start. They won't be clamoring for a government to pop up. They'll be the ones trying to start the government.
Yeah.
The ones with the guns who run out of stuff first.
Oh yeah.
Even the ones who may have had good intentions at the beginning or whatever. They're just because they didn't plan. Yeah, they did. Yeah, exactly. You don't plan well enough. Which is why, again, I'm trying to learn all these skills now and trying to connect with people. And see here, look, the four of us, we're all agreeing that this is all basically a good idea. And Dave, you mentioned a city. I've actually tried to look into that. Like, you see other stories every once in a while, like those ghost towns that basically pop up every once in a while that just have been abandoned, and somehow they're for sale through the state or whatever.
There's islands for sale all over the place. There's an island off the coast of Maine that's nothing spectacular, but it's a couple $1,000,000 for an island. Like, if you had enough people, you'd want to make sure you didn't have too many so that it wasn't sustainable, but you had like 50 or 60 people come up with the capital to buy that, and you could start some shit, man.
Well, yeah, but again, though, the island idea, while it sounds great, someone who lives on an island, not a good idea, especially if you're going to be trying to separate yourself from an existing government or run away from people who are going to try to start building one. You're in a bad strategical position.
Man, there's a lot of strategical benefit to an island.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could leave, but you could also get trapped pretty easily. You know?
You could.
So, I don't know.
I just don't think that. I think we might go through some kind of federal change here. I don't know, here in the United States, but I don't know. I don't see all the doomsday stuff happening. I just really don't. There's too many people making money at the top for them to have this collapse.
Yeah. Well, no, they'll try to hold it off as long as they can. I don't doubt that, but I think it's inevitable that it will happen. I don't think you can avoid that. They can only string this out for so long.
Well, cultures are always going to be changing through human history. So,
Well, yeah, but culture has nothing. Culture has nothing to
the
do with
government
this.
always follows. Well, government always follows culture, right?
No, I don't
It
think
always
so.
follows the. It's the lagging indicator in society.
In a lot of things, yeah. I don't think culture necessarily. I don't know. I think.
Well, yeah.
But again-
maybe government is a byproduct of culture or something. I don't know.
No.
Because, I mean, if we had our culture, right, there would be no government. But if our culture was all statist, we'd want a government.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I just, like I said, I don't think, I agree that the people at the top aren't going to want to let go, but I don't think I don't think they can avoid it. I don't see it lasting another 20, 30 years tops, really, and that's pushing it. That's being conservative.
Yeah, but what are they going to do when it starts to fall apart? That's what worries me.
Well, yeah, because that's when they become more dangerous, just like any other animal when it's wounded and senses the end's near. It fights with all its life.
You know, one of the things that people don't talk about when you're talking about prepping or whatever, and it's something I look out for a lot. I like to go to used bookstores and old bookstores. There's a couple around here. I look for old books, not even old, old ones are better, but books on herbal remedies, books on gardening, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's nice to have all of that shit at the touch of a button on your iPad or your Kindle or your phone. But again, if you can't charge those devices, it's also nice to have a nice hard copy of tell you, which plants to pick to cure which ailments and that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, those are.
You can find them. I mean, I've got a couple. I went to an old bookstore it was probably about a year ago, and I found this. It's like a 300-page book of. It was all kinds of stuff. It was gardening. It was herbal remedies, and all kinds of cool stuff. And I bought it for like $10.
Yeah, that's a good investment. That's a really $10 actually. Is a really great investment. I try to pick up stuff like that too. Like I finally got used to using a Kindle a few years ago, but I still try to important books like that. I do still try to get copies and then try to preserve. Like I usually don't have any need to read them right away, so I try to put them in plastic bags and stuff to preserve them.
Yeah. Yeah, where they're gonna last.
So exactly.
I got a book on an anatomy book. I don't know shit about human anatomy, but I can see where that book would come in real handy. I mean, I was browsing through it and I was like, wow.
You need me on your little plantation or your whatever you want to call it. your commune.
Plantation is
cadavers and all that stuff.
There we go.
In a cadaver. Yep.
All
right, good.
Cool.
You're hired.
Yeah.
Plantations have a pretty bad connotation, though. I don't like.
But if we buy an island,
wrong word, but
if we buy an island, let's buy one in the Caribbean because I don't want to deal with winters anymore.
Well, yeah.
Can we, please?
But then you have to deal with pirates.
I could deal with pirates. I'm okay with that.
He's armed. We can handle them.
You didn't think about pirates or drones, did you? Nope.
I didn't think about drones on an island, but I did think about pirates. I did.
Actually, you know what's a really good thing to look into, and I have friends that are into this. I haven't got into it, but low-level EMP technologies, to disable drones, surveillance cameras, what have you. I know there's a lot of people that are into that.
I have a friend I think knows how to do that stuff, and he's a good friend. We talk about. We talk about buying an island someday. He'll actually send me links once in a while. Look, maybe we can afford this in a few years. Yeah. And he's an expert on all things technology.
All right. He needs to be on the team too.
If you had a tiny little EMP gun, I think it would come in real handy when they start having the Robotech, RoboCop cops come out. They pound on your door, just open the door and say hello, and just little EMP blast, and they.
That's a good idea. Where can I get one of these things?
Future stuff, huh? That'll happen
hobbyist,
sometime.
Man. Well, it's closer than you think, man. I've seen some pretty disturbing stuff. Like what we see in the mainstream media, like with the drones and the robot little thingy that went in and killed the cop shooter there. That's the tip of the iceberg. That's what they're rolling out to the public right now, so that they're way, way farther advanced than what we see.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
They always have more going on behind the scenes in every capacity, so of course they're...
I mean, the stuff we see on the consumer market is typically 20 years behind what the military-industrial complex has, so... That's kind of a scary thought.
Yeah, right. But actually, I don't know, man. I'd have to agree. That is kind of like, because what they're capable of doing now, sending a drone after you and launching, trying to shove a Hellfire missile up your nose, or something.
And robot cops shooting people or blowing people up.
Chemtrail vaccinations bug me more than anything, but
Me too. Yeah, that's why I've always said, like, that whole revolution thing is so dumb. Like, I saw something on Facebook today, and it was a meme, and it said it showed, like, this 3%er type military guy, Constitution hat or whatever, and it was a picture of a van door open with a, guy like that with a gun and a big dog, and it said, if this guy pulled up to you and said, hop in, we're doing revolution stuff, would you get in? I'm just thinking, hell no.
No way, Jose.
What, you're going to take your little AR-15 up against a tank or a drone? No.
You want to get blown up, that's how you get blown up.
Man, I'm telling you, I started reading the new book that Ben, and I don't know who else collaborated with him on that, Ben Stone, but
Yeah.
it's
good, right?
it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool book.
Yeah, I started reading it too. I gotta get back into it. I got distracted for a few days, but
Yeah, me too.
I've been waiting for this because he knows. I tell him, I tweet it all the time because the start of that, his series on the essay he wrote originally that he turned into the series Beyond Civil Disobedience. This is just an extent. The book is just an extension of that, and that series I listen to like every 4 to 6 months.
Oh yeah,
just over and over and over again.
I had a really interesting conversation. This was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I was just starting to kind of get into my anarchist phase, and I used to listen to this minarchist internet station that had a lot of podcasts or whatever. And there's this crazy Jew lady named Joyce that was on one of these shows, and she was like kind of like one of those magic words sort of people, sort of, but not really. I mean, she knew a lot of the legal stuff, and she would tell you how to try to get out of stuff. But I called her up one night, and I think I caught her after dinner. She had a few cocktails. I ended up having like a 4-hour conversation with her where she got progressively more intoxicated. And she's like, yeah, I preach about that law stuff a lot, and it's good to know, but she goes, I'm telling you straight, man, you got to get prepared. You got to start thinking like a guerrilla warfare person. She goes, because all that law shit, that's not going to save you. She says, you need to learn how to use, like, blowguns and, dipping the needles in dog shit so the occupying forces come, you hit them with a blow dart and they don't even know it. And, 3 days later, they got sepsis. And she's going into all this wild shit, I'm
That's
like,
brilliant.
Wow, whoa. I'm like, and she goes, look, I'm just telling you, she was like, in her late 60s, she's like, I'm old, I'm gonna die soon. And she actually did. She died like 3 months later, but she's like, I'm gonna die soon, and I really don't care. She goes, my kids are estranged and I've got no one. She said, but you've got a little girl to think of, and you've got a future to think of, and you need to start thinking. And she's just going on and on about, like, you need to learn how to be subversive and not be overt. She goes, don't go with those dumbasses who think they're going to start a revolution and take the country back and all that. She goes, they're the first ones that get rounded up and killed. And I was like, wow. But, she made a good point. You start marching out there with that bravado, carrying your guns, and, yeah, I'm going to take it back. Man, you're just painting a giant bullseye on yourself. Why would you do that?
Yeah, well,
you're
sure.
absolutely right.
Yep.
Yeah, well, people. That's funny though, because that's actually pretty much what I've been saying that for a while too. And that's pretty much part of what Ben's whole message is. Because you don't want to go for the revolution. You don't take it to them, but you damn well should be prepared to know how to defend yourself when what you hit on before about what happens when it starts to slip away and they recognize that it's going to be gone soon and they become more dangerous. It's at that point you don't want to take it to them, but you need to be prepared to defend yourself when they start coming for you, because they'll come for anybody who's not going to just acquiesce to whatever they say at that point. So
you smart.
Exactly, and guerrilla warfare is always the way to go. I mean, that was another thing. I think was it Prof. CJ and Bill Buford did a CJ. Did a series on
regular warfare.
Yeah,
series,
exactly. That was for anybody who hasn't listened to that. Go check out Prof. CJ's podcast. And
I'm
it was
still really bummed that he didn't. Bill, but before he did that with Prof. CJ, he actually did a 4-hour lecture at PorkFest one year, and I sat through the whole thing, and it was all about irregular warfare, and it was pretty much everything they went over in that series. But I was really hoping somebody recorded it, but it never got put online, which is a damn shame. Because
that is a shame. I would watch that. I would watch the whole thing. I can listen to him all the time.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, I love Bill Buford.
And it was quite a funny scene, you know. That morning he's all dressed, and you know how he's very classy. He dresses in, you know, dress pants and a shirt, and has his gun open carried, and he looks very professional. And he's giving this 4-hour lecture, and then, you know, later that night at the big gay dance party, he was pole dancing. It was a riot. And he was doing shit on the pole that, like, you know, he's an older guy. He's in his 50s. I mean, he's very fit for his age, and he looks great. But he was doing shit that I couldn't do on that pole. I was just like, wow. Yeah, man, this cat's got the right idea. Doing vertical spins and shit. I'm like, damn.
Wow. Well, I don't think I could do.
Quite entertaining.
I don't think I could do that either. But he's a very versatile man. But
what was the convict conditioning? That's what he called it. He's like, oh yeah, I practice convict conditioning, and he started to explain that a little bit, doing exercises that you could only do in a prison.
Yep.
He said, yeah, it works. So, all right, man, I'll get on that regimen.
Well, yeah, it's just another step in preparing, though.
Yeah, it really is.
That's all it
And
is.
that's the other thing a lot of people don't think about. You know, we've all got our guns and food and books and everything, but I know I can say personally, I am definitely not in the shape it would take to survive a lot of what's coming, you know?
Yeah, I have a little work to do. I've gotten kind of lazy.
Yep.
But you know, the people you're talking about before, you know, those crazy ones that want to take on the government. It's amazing how many of them that either want to take it on or say that they have their guns so they'll be okay. It's amazing how many of them are really out of shape.
Yeah.
Like, what do they think they're going to do?
Those pictures from the Bundy Ranch and that sanctuary in Oregon.
Yeah, there was
all old fat white guys.
Yeah, a lot of. I mean, there's a mix of, you know, some younger, more fit people. I mean, like my
they'll get there eventually.
Well, yeah. Heck, my dad was at Bundy. I mean, he's going to be 69 now, so however long ago Bundy was, but he's actually in pretty darn good shape for his age. But on the whole, most of them really not in the greatest shape, but they have their guns, so it'll be okay. Something tells me that they're also not planning on using any type of irregular warfare either.
No.
They'll just go straight forward.
That whole Revolutionary War mentality. We'll meet them on the field of battle with honor.
Yeah, but if everyone armed up, there wouldn't be much they could do, really.
Well, if everybody did.
So many people.
There's a lot of guns in this country, and there's a lot of people that know how to use them well. But again, I go back to drones. When you can get a Hellfire missile shot into your house from 30,000 feet and you don't even know it's coming, how good are your guns going to be? I mean, if your whole
right.
neighborhood. That's why I say, you know, these people that are out there with the bravado and they're going to take America back, they're fucking stupid because they're going to take shit back. You know, they're going to get drone bombed or they're going to get picked up while they're going to get groceries and they only have their little pea shooter on them, if that.
Yeah, right.
So, oh, well. We'll figure it out somehow.
There you go.
So, I don't know, man. I'm kind of in a pessimistic mood today. I don't know what it is.
We couldn't tell, man.
I see that, Jen. That's all right, man. We all have those days.
You need to go look at the meme on my wall that I shared earlier. I'm going to tell you what it says. Hang on a second. I'm going to read it to you if I can find it. Where is it? Apocalyptimist. Someone who knows it's all going to shit but still thinks it might be okay.
That is totally me.
I'm going to tag you.
That's me as well.
There you go.
Okay, I'm tagging all of you.
All right, excellent. All right, on that note, I think we should get wrapping up. Before we get going, Lisa, have anything you want to finish up with? Or Anything you want to
No,
plug
thanks
or
for
anything you want to
having me
say?
I'm all depressed and have bad dreams now about the apocalypse. But
Oh, no.
okay, it's always fun to talk to you guys.
As long as it's not zombies.
No, I know, right? I think I could handle anything but that. I just don't. Oh, yeah, I don't like zombie. I don't watch any of those zombie shows. I just don't. I don't. Anyway,
I watched The
started on
Walking
that.
Dead up until last year, and I couldn't do it anymore. I'm
I
like, it's
can't
so
get into
depressing,
it.
and it's so boring. Like
It is boring and depressing. Yes. And
Yeah,
morbid.
it's like, show me something
Ooh, and
new.
it's so intense. It's so you're just like ooh,
Yeah.
and it always
it's
ends
too
on a
much.
cliffhanger, and you're just like, gosh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did start watching Daredevil though, and that's pretty badass.
And you turned it all. Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, I haven't watched any shows, and now that, at least for the time that Kick-Ass Torrance is down, I don't have anywhere else to go. And I already,
I told you how to get around that.
Yeah, I know, and I
You
will.
catch up on all those books.
Cody.
you've been
Download
putting off.
I will.
TV telly.
I will do that. I'm gonna have to do that now because my
And now with the new release, you don't even have to configure it. You just download it, install it, and boom,
all right,
you're golden.
excellent. Well, that's gonna be my next
And
move then.
you liked Magnolia Electric Company. Huh?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that. Well, like I said, I listened to that whole that one album.
The Pathos Transport Show.
Whatever that show was from Sweden, from whatever, there was like an hour and 20 minutes, hour 13 minutes, somewhere around there. And yeah, man, totally got into that. And
Just the tip of the iceberg, man. They're great.
I shared it. I shared it with a couple of friends of mine, and one of my other friends jumped on it right away too, because like me, he's a huge Dave Matthews fan and stuff. So kind of fits our mood.
He did an album with a guy named Will Johnson. You might like him too. I didn't get into him as much. He's really good, but they did an album called Johnson and Molina, which is really hard to find. And Will Johnson does a lot of solo stuff. You might dig that too.
All right, I'll have to check that out. All right, Dave, you have anything else before we get going?
No, I just wanted to give a shout out to our new Patreon subscriber. Gave $5 a month. That's really awesome. And just a big shout out to everybody else that's helping us on Patreon pay for our hosting.
Is
and
there
stuff.
a name? Is there a name for the?
I didn't have it immediately. I can look at it for a second.
Oh, Dave, you're giving him a shout out.
I just redid my computer, my browser, and everything. I didn't have it on.
All right. Well, you'll have to give it to me. We'll put it in the show notes. You give these announcements. Yeah, I give a shout out. I'm not going to tell you who you are, but you know who you are. It's fine.
I'll have it in a second.
It's fine, Dave. All right. So this has been the Seeds of Liberty podcast. All our information can be found at theseedsofliberty.com. And to make Danilo happy, again, who should hopefully be back next week, all our donation links can be found there too. I usually don't care about that stuff. Just like, share, and comment on our stuff, and that makes me happy enough. So, all right, guys, this has been a great conversation. Really appreciate both of you coming
thanks
on.
for having me on.
Yeah, man.
Thanks.
Well, we've gone all.
Thanks for coming on, Lisa and Chandler.
Thank you for the invite.
No, this was great, and
Anytime.
we've gone all FeenPhone now, so it's only people that have FeenPhone that I want to talk to. So it makes it easier when I can just pull people that I work with regularly. Say, hey guys, want to come over here? So yeah, it works out. But all right, so again, this has been the Seeds of Liberty podcast, and we will catch you next time. Peace.
Later.
Peace.
Adios.
Recently reading into the thesis, yeah. Mirroring the people who completely fail to see it though. Seeing is believing, yes, the reason is appealing most. Reading enemies just enables you to see it too.
Now that you put it that way, I have the answer to that question. It's projection. That's what it is. It's not a cop-out to call us utopians. They're actually projecting their own self-hatred onto us.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT no government license. The BIPCOT NoGov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to bipcot.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.